recording now. Yes, Bala, I'm recording. I'm hoping that we will get this show through. Some technical glitches. So, good morning.
Okay.
Post IPL, good morning.
Oh, okay. I mean, with our IPL shows, we have been going over the top, Raj, because too many shows.
Yeah.
We have been OTT. We have been OTT.
Which is why I think we have been brought under the purview of the INB ministry, which which for the past 10 years we didn't know existed.
Exactly.
So, yes. So
I mean, that is the kind of segue I wanted you to take off, because that is the kind of cue I gave it to you on a platter. That is the reason I brought up the OTT.
I know.
Yeah, you are right, Raj.
This is like Yuvraj Singh bowling a pie checker to Kevin Peterson. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
we can't leave cricket out, man.
Exactly. I mean, when you're talking of OTT and other platforms, and the news channel, because there are two aspects to it. For a minute, we'll slightly get serious about. Just talk of what are the essential, what does those two lines of those mean? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because if you read the government order, you'll find it amazing, because in the sense you wouldn't make any sense of it. It's so, I mean, we are in 2020. We still can't write bureaucratic sentences. I mean, sentences. Bureaucrats can't come up with sentences that can make sense to a common person.
That is
because I went through the GO.
Yeah, so that is not surprising, right? I mean, you go back to a 1984 BBC serial where they say official secrets acts is about officials, not secrets.
Secrets, exactly. That's a very Westminster-like, which you are very fond of.
So you write something which nobody can understand.
See, they want to leave out ambiguity. The whole idea is to leave out any kind of ambiguity. But in the sense, they come up with sentences that are totally incomprehensible. So dense that even a bullet cannot pass through.
Yeah, so I feel pity for the president who signed it, because I'm sure he had no idea what he was signing.
Exactly. And getting back to that, on a very simple basis, they are bringing news channels, news websites. When I say news channels, news websites and OTT platforms, the streaming platforms, under the purview of INB ministry.
Yeah.
So this is the very basic thing that what they are thinking about. And in a sense, this was in the making, because you wrote a story. I remember, Raj, that when they came up with some kind of a self-censorship regulation when OTT platform, the government kind of rejected it. I remember you writing a story. Yeah. And government has been pushing for this kind of a setup in the past. In the last 6 months, because INB ministry secretary had gone on record saying, and he put out a press release, which is pretty rare. He put out a press release where he wanted this to happen. So in a sense, this was not at all surprising. The government were trying to bring, wanting to bring OTT platforms and news websites under the INB ministry. This was, as I said, in the making. But is it good or bad? There are two ways of looking at it. One, this is at one level, this is a thing that needed to be done because of the courts. Because when there were a couple of instances when content on OTT platforms were taken to the court, because not by the government, by the general public, not politically sensitive content, the content that we generally think as adult content, which now OTT platforms have in plenty. When they were taken to the court, the government kind of argued certain things, but the court said, you don't have the ambit, that is not in your purview. You get the system where these things will come under your purview. When INB ministry was taken to the court. So in that sense, the court kind of nudged the government towards this. And this is a kind of a technicality which needed to be done, because the government, there was no clarity, because all these days, anything which was under the, I mean, when the content was questionable or taken to the court, it was the information ministry which was getting into the act, which is not the right thing, because only the INB ministry can do it, because it is only fair that INB ministry, which controls, I mean, not controls, which has the control over, say, print media and stuff that comes on TV and television and cinema, has a say in these matters. So in that sense, it is a kind of a logical and reasonable tweaking, I would say.
Okay, so my first question then would be, why do you have this under control of any ministry?
That is the, I mean, that is the question that we
So
need to
can a
ask.
ministry, can a bureaucrat, like you said, a bureaucrat writes an order and comes out and says, okay, this is what you are supposed to watch. Are you okay with that?
Certainly not. I mean, I'll amplify your question slightly. I will extend your question. Does that mean, is this the first step towards censorship of the content on OTT platforms? I mean, on paper, it is not. The government will never say this, but in the essence, this is towards that, because government will now certainly have control what the OTT platforms put out, and they are not so much worried about the adult content. They are much more worried about the political content, because some of the stuff that OTT platforms purvey are not very kind or very nice to the political establishment of the day. So in that sense, they would want to have a say in
Yeah,
that.
so it's,
And
it is not this
yeah,
day, it is any day. So now you are setting a precedent.
you're right.
I mean, the court is setting a precedent by saying that, okay, this is, so court said you don't have purview over the matter. And then the government said, okay, now we have purview over the matter. That part I understand. Okay, I mean, so I mean, there will be frivolous, flippant legal cases coming dime a dozen.
Exactly.
And this is where the courts are sitting on 3 crore cases, and they keep this thing, because they admit everything that comes their way. Whoever knocks, and which is good. I mean, which is the way in one of the pillars of the democracy should function. The point is, if the case is frivolous, then they should, the petitioner should be punished for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, what is good for the goose is not good for the gander. That's it. I mean, you cannot sort of make a sweeping statement. I mean, you have the this thing to sort of not watch something, right?
Raj, so, this is technically this is something which needed to be done. But
yes,
the problem is when you do this, there will be some problem.
Yeah,
see, it's
so,
kind of an Hobson's choice, because
it's an overzealous it's an overzealous guy who would come and sort of bring. I mean, tomorrow somebody can come and say what you and I are doing early morning on YouTube is within their purview, which I'm sure it might be at some point. I don't know.
Raj, good thing you brought this point up, because this particular GO covers only things that fall under that are put out by OTT platforms and others. If you and I do it as general persons, the content that you and put out on YouTube or Facebook or on our respective social media platform, they still go to the other ministry, not to the INB ministry. That is the fine print. I don't know how many organizations have put out this vital difference, but that is if you read the fine print, that is the point. The things that you and I put out as individuals will not go to the INB ministry. It doesn't fall under the purview of INB ministry.
Yeah, so that is one part. Yeah, that part is clear. Now, the other part is that what happens to that draconian law that came in between, where when people actually were getting arrested for posting things on Facebook.
It still exists.
Yes. So things have not gone away. So I mean, it is just so like you said,
it will never go away.
Yeah, like
as long as you have a government, it will never go away, Raj.
Yeah, so like that is the point, because in the US, we talk about US elections. Everyone in this country is extremely proud that Biden and Harris, which now has been known as Biharis.
I mean,
exactly.
Some
smart guy.
You have been listening too many WhatsApp forwards, man.
Forwards, man. Seriously. So Biharis administration, see, India is very happy about that. The question is, can we even imbibe a little bit of what has happened there? That openness, that freedom, that ability to speak out. Can we actually talk about that? That seems to be anathema. I mean, we are fine with everything happening elsewhere, so long as it doesn't impact our daily lives or our political leadership.
Raj, you are touching a raw nerve. Raj,
isn't it?
I want to touch that. I mean, what you say is absolutely true. But they'll turn around and say, even in America, the freedom of expression is not total, in the sense there are some reasonable restrictions. I mean, but there is no comparison, man. But there is,
look at it this way. I mean, look at it this way.
Away with a lot of things. Even now, you can get away you can say so many things. That is not the case in India. I'll certainly say.
Yeah,
you are right when you said that. You touched the raw now, and you are right about that.
Yeah. So see, which is where my fear is, because see, sort of tweaking the administrative position to sort of make a bunch of people. See, this is like saying in an office, you're saying, okay, this division, I mean, this team now reports, instead of this manager reports to that manager, which is fine, which doesn't do anything.
Because I mean, that is what has happened, because that is what because when you go to the courts, they first of all ask the question, do you have this? I mean, does it fall under your
Jurisdiction,
ambit?
ambit, yeah.
Jurisdiction. Yeah. So that is what they were addressing. I mean, under the guise of addressing that, they also empowered themselves with certain powers, which in the longer run can be pretty dicey.
Yeah, that is the point. See, now, see, the point is freedom of choice. I think there is no bigger freedom than freedom of choice. So anybody coming
Yes.
and telling me I need to watch this, not watch this, is, I think, stepping on my toes, which is unacceptable in a democracy. Any sort of democracy.
The
Yeah,
small mercy is now us. You and I have platforms and facilities to say these things and put this
I'll give you another
out in
example,
open.
Bala. I'll give you an example. See, I'm not totally saying that whatever comes on the OTT platform is great. I mean, the classic example is Gunjan Saksena's movie, which I knocked the shit out of, and thankfully it
Yeah,
failed,
yeah.
flopped. I mean, although, I mean, I really feel for Pankaj Tripathi, who is my favorite actor. He did a fantastic job in that movie, but that movie should never have been made because it is, I mean, it is misogyny from the other side.
Yeah,
To
and
me,
you
it
are
was pathetic.
for being a despite being a biopic, it distorted facts. You
Yeah,
said
I
that.
mean, pardon
I
my
remember
language.
you saying.
It was made by a bioprick. I mean, seriously, I don't think it deserved to be on the OTT platform. So I'm not saying carte blanche. It's one way or the other. I mean, while making the
But
point that yes, there is a thin line, I still feel that some of these movies or some of these, see, now you have Lakshmi bomb. I don't know, Lakshmi, the bomb went out, the movie bombed, thankfully.
yes,
I mean,
Lakshmi
it is,
LAX MII man. By the way.
yeah. So I mean, those are movies. So, if you're talking about movies of such kind in this era, I think we need to seriously question ourselves. I mean, even guys who are sitting in the review panel or whatever the hell that is, what are they doing? So these
Raj,
sort of movies need to be made. So I'm happy with
no,
that
no,
on
no,
one side.
no, Raj, whatever. The problem is you have a situation where people have kind of appreciate. I mean, appreciate when you say appreciate these movies work because this is from Tamil original Kanchana, and it was such a monstrous hit. I use the word monstrous. Decided. I mean,
Bala,
very
I've seen both.
particularly.
I've seen both.
Yeah, you see,
So there
it
is
was
there is no
horrible.
comparison.
It was no
There is no
comparison, but it
comparison.
was even in Tamil, it was bad. I'll tell you.
No,
It
Tamil
was
it was
even.
bad. I agree. But if you think Tamil it was bad, you watch this.
Yeah, I didn't watch this Lakshmi
Yeah,
Bomb. I didn't.
yeah.
But I'll
Don't,
tell you,
and I would suggest you don't.
yeah, but so movie in Tamil was such a hit that they made sequels out of it. 3 or 4 sequels have come out.
Yeah.
So when people kind of
See,
put
I
their
mean,
money
let's
on
say,
such
see,
movies,
you
what
look
do
at
you
it
say,
this
Raj?
way. No, I don't mind that. That's what I'm saying. So if you are fine with those movies, why not be fine with some movies which are see, even for something like Gunjan
Raj,
Saxena,
but
why do
I
you
mean,
put a,
bad movies should be allowed to be. I mean, everybody should make
that is
movies.
the point.
Let people
Exactly.
decide what bad or good.
Exactly. That is
Is that
exactly my point. I
right?
I I watched, I
So
dissed the
precisely,
movies.
Gunjan Saxena should be allowed to be made.
Yes, I'm not saying it should be banned. That is exactly the point. See, I was against it. I didn't like it because of X, A, B, C, D, E factors, which turned out to be true. Because I mean, even factually, it was incorrect,
Yeah, yeah, I know
and
you have been
politically,
saying
it
that
was,
long.
yeah, politically it was incorrect. I mean, you are trying to showcase. See, now there was a scenario where there is this serial on Alt Balaji where an officer's wife is shown to be extremely promiscuous in the officer's absence. Everybody went hammer and talks on that. Like, how can you show an Indian Army officer's wife that like that? I had a point. I said, look, we are not showing the Indian Army officer like that. Officer's wife is another human being here, and doesn't mean all officers' wife. My daughter is an officer's wife.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I
I
know.
mean, so I mean that is not the question. The question is, yes, this is a story. So I'm okay with showing something like that. With Gunjan Saxena, the point is when you are making or you're claiming it to be a biopic, which they later removed very quietly, they removed, because when they show that the shit had hit the ceiling, they removed. So there is a problem. So what am I coming to? I'm saying you have a ministry which is, if it is going to sit in judgment over what you see and what you don't see, I have a problem. If it is going to sit in judgment over the sort of content that OTT platforms or news channels are going to publish, or online news channels are going to publish, and start, I mean, today there no censorship. I mean, because although even the BJP government talks about it, I distinctly remember what happened during emergency.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything that used to go out, I mean, the pages used to be blackened. I mean, I remember Indian Express came out with a blank edition once. That is history. That is
Yeah, yeah. Even statesmen in Calcutta
yes,
did that.
did that. So my
Totally.
point is,
Because,
yeah,
you're right.
my point is simple. That if it is just an administrative scenario where it just moves from, I mean, like I said earlier, in an organization, okay, Bala, you and me will from tomorrow. Somebody comes and tells us, Bala, from tomorrow, you and me will be reporting to X and not Y. Oh, okay, man. Who cares? Doesn't matter, right? So that is fine. But the point is, if that based on that, now the Ministry of X is, or rather the boss X is working on something which you and I know very well. The boss Y is working on something which we have no idea about, which means our exit is clear, exit route is laid out. Then we have a problem, right?
Yeah, we have a problem.
Yeah.
But talking of OTT content, if you don't like a content, as one of the judges in the Supreme Court said in a different case yesterday, if you don't like the channel, don't watch it. He said it in a different case.
Yeah, we know what that case is. Yeah, I mean, I stopped watching that channel 4 years back. I really don't care whether so honestly,
I never watched that channel.
Yeah, no. I also, I mean, I fortunately, I mean, because I was in Delhi, I was a journalist. I happen to know the.
I mean, I'll say this in quite honestly. I've never watched a news channel in the past 2 years in Tamil or as well as in English.
I have not watched it in the past 4-5 years.
And I'm a journalist.
Yeah, I know. That is why I don't watch it. Because journalism and with news channel, they don't go together because it's all opinion, which is what we are giving here. I mean, I'm sure, which is why we keep inviting others to give opinions also.
But I mean, now that you point out, see, look at the irony of it, and there is a certain amount of factuality in it. So yesterday's government order says news sites and OTT will be governed by INB Ministry, which also takes care of entertainment. So in a sense, news websites are under entertainment channels, which in current scenario is pretty much bang on.
Yeah, that is what it is. They are supposed to be entertaining. They're not doing anything else. So, I mean, honestly, on a different note, I think we'll probably wind up now with that. On a different note, I said I was amongst the first to say, no, I don't think this guy should have been incarcerated. I think that is something which I don't stand for, simply because I feel that whatever the case may be, I don't think this guy is going to run away. You can prosecute, you can sort of get the witnesses and then maybe put the guy behind bars. I mean, to say that he will influence, I mean, if he had to influence, he would have influenced the last 2-3 years. Anyway, the two people are dead, right? Whom will he influence?
Exactly. But the point is, I mean, the court, which rightly granted bail to this guy, should also grant bail to so many other journalists who are behind the bars. And
so
their case is far more serious. In the sense, far more serious sense, they're far more deserving of bail.
So
see, bail, not giving a bail should never be the case.
Bala, that's the point now. That is the point now. Now that Supreme Court has set a precedent, now I'm sure that there'll be others coming up.
But the questions will be asked if the Supreme Court takes care of only the privileged people and doesn't.
So that we will know, right? That
question is always bound to be there.
See, that we will know, right? I mean, like they say,
you're right.
Putting is in the eating. Now you will figure out what the court says. Because when you set a precedent, see, most of the court judgments are based on precedents.
Precedents, exactly.
Or extenuating circumstances. So these are the two things which govern judgments. So let us watch. But I think overall, what are we saying at Bits and Banter about this move?
OTT, I think it is. I mean, it had to be done because it was a simple tweaking of rules, which was necessary. But administrative rule, yeah, you are right. Administrative change, which had to be done. But what import does it have? We have to see, but I don't see government not wanting to have a control over what is put out in terms of content. The government will inevitably will try to impose itself, will influence itself in what is going to appear on OTT platforms, and that is not a very savory thought. But that is where it will get to. It is not a very optimistic prognosis, but we know how governments work. I'm not saying this government. In general, whatever government is in place will do it, and this government will also do it.
Which is surprising, right? I mean, the only time politicians seem to be thick-skinned is in movies. Right? You say anything, nothing happens to them. But in real life, I think the people who are in the political, in public service, as they call it, they seem to have a very thin, very low level of.
The threshold is
the threshold. Yeah, the threshold for acceptance is very low. But then, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that is the way it is. So no comments on that. to each his own. What do you say?
Exactly.
Okay, guy. Chalo, okay, nice. So in case you have any thoughts about this, I'm sure, like Bala said, most of us didn't understand what was written there. In case you figure out, yeah, I didn't read. So in case, so this is one great show where one guy at least read it, the other guy didn't even read. So now you know what journalism is about.
I mean, you have every right to become the INB secretary.
I know. I'll apply, man. Seriously. So this is like, I'm quoting Yes Minister. They say, no, the education minister is the least educated. The industry minister cannot be employed anywhere. So it's like, it's that is like, so they said, make him the governor of the BBC. Why? He doesn't even have a TV set. So,
but viewers, I'll say one thing. Whenever we discuss politics, you can be sure of one thing. Raj will quote wonderful lines from from Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Because he's a fan of both and he remembers every line of it.
Yeah, that is because I've watched it only about 178 times. So which is fine.
We'll stop here and you go back and watch it for the 179th
time. Okay, see you that Pala, and then we'll come back with something more of IPL. There is a little more left, some more juice. And obviously the cricket starts, we will do cricket. But then like Bala and I have been saying always, this is not just about cricket. This is about anything and everything which we come across and want to share our views on. More important,
since we are journalists, we'll talk about the subjects we have no idea about.
Yes. And because of which we'll invite all of you people who have an idea to come on the show, because that way we'll also
and watch us blabber.
No, come on the show.
Just kidding, man. Come on the show and watch us blabber, man.
No. When they come on the show, we won't blabber because we need to respect them here.
We will allow them to blabber.
We need to respect them. Assuming that they have a good, something to tell us.
Yeah, they will have, man.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Okay, thanks a lot for watching, and share, like, and keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye, Raj.